and it seemed like they could change. Their whole appearance could change if they wanted to. Their face and everything could change on them if that's what they wanted to do. They were really playful little things, you know. You really, but they weren't mean, but they were just very like little kids, being very, very playful.
With a lot of power.
Yeah, they did have a lot of power. They were actually keepers of the truth. That was their job. They were keepers of the truth. And then I remember I could hear you talking to me. I could still hear your voice. But I remember I was being taken away, and I was like really starting to feel tired and really starting to feel faint. And like there just wasn't much left there in me. And then I remember I was taken to the kingdom, and Michael took me to the kingdom, and I was there, and that's when you saw me started to cry, and you asked me what I was seeing, and I told you I saw Jesus, and he was standing there, had his hands held out, and he said, "Daughter, I've been waiting for you." And you reach out his hand, just like this, and he touched my cheek, just like this. And he says, "Daughter, I've been waiting for you." And then he hugged me, and he said, he told me, he said, "This gate," he said, "all you have to do," he put my hand on the gate. And he said, "all you have to do is push it open and walk through." He said, "That's all you have to do." I knew what he meant when he said that. And I started crying. And the cherubs were there. And they said, "Do it, go through." They said, "You'll be safe and you won't hurt anymore. And you'll be well and you won't have any more pain." And then they told me, he said, "You'll like it here." And I had my hand on the gate, and I could hear you coming through. And I started to push on it. And then I turned around and I looked at him and I said, "Why did you give me such big little grandbabies?" I said, "If I can't see them grow up and be a part of their life." He smiled at me, and I said, "I gotta go back." I said, "I want to go back." I said, "Please let me go back." And he touched me on the cheek again, and he smiled. He had the most beautiful smile, little understanding. And he told Michael, he looked at Michael, and he said, "Take her back." And then Michael, he held out his hand for me to take his hand, and he smiled. He had this smile. First time I seen him smile the whole time I've been with him, but it was like being an angel. He had this understanding of my human emotion, of why I wanted to come. God needed to be there with, you know, my grandchildren in my life, and I wasn't ready to die yet. I just wasn't ready to die yet. But I knew I was so close to it. I could feel it. I could feel my body.
By this time you were breathing about 6 breaths a minute.
It was shutting down on me. And I was so tired. And I wanted to go through that gate so bad. Because I was just so tired. And the cherubs, you know, they I don't know if they were being mischievous, but they were trying to get me to come through the gate. But they were just telling the truth.
Right.
And then I don't know how I got back. I just know Michael took me back, and I don't remember anything about that. But I think that's when they decided then to take me to a bigger hospital. And that was largely because of you. And then when I got to the bigger hospital, they said they didn't know why I lived the ambulance ride to even get there while I was still alive. And they immediately put me on life support and on kidney dialysis. And then
You were unconscious about 3 days.
and then during that period, I remember having this overwhelming feeling of being in a sleep state, but also being taken care of. That my strength was returning, and that's like my body was being healed in a way, and strength was coming back to me. And I think it was by no mistake that I was sent to the rehab center that I was sent to, because I had been to 3 rehab centers, and this rehab center was the best place that I'd been to, and it was no mistake, you know, that's the one that I was chosen to go to, because they helped me and got me back up, and I got my life back. I might be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, but I'm by no means held down.
Yeah.
And
cooked for the first time in years.
Second night I was home from rehab, I cooked a meatloaf dinner, and Kelby, one of my grandsons, came in after he ate, and he came in and he said, "Grandma, I sure miss your cooking." And he said, "I'm glad you're back." And it's just been amazing, all the things that have happened. And I think we need to say, just that sometime during that room, I blessed you, and because I knew I was dying, and I was giving my blessing to you before I died. And that's a very common thing in the Bible.
And you told me I was witnesses.
Yeah.
Amazing things. Do you remember being in the room with Abraham?
A little bit. I know
A room open in the east.
The east, yeah, it opened in the east, and that was very important that it was opening in the east. And because I remember when they told me that, it was a very important thing, and we was waiting for Isaac to come. And but Isaac it seemed he was a baby. He wasn't the grown man, and it was like we was waiting for his birth. You know, the new birth, the new promise that had been promised to him in Sarah for all generations to come.
Wasn't that in the New Testament, like when Jesus did it, they asked, well, is Isaac supposed to come before thee or something? And then they say, do you not know that he has already came?
Yeah.
And doesn't he describe him as John? Or no?
John the Baptist?
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, John the Baptist wasn't Isaac. At least I don't think so. I
think there's some. We'll have to talk about that later, but I think there's something that says...
We're both still studying and doing a lot of learning. This has prompted us both. And I'm planning to spend a couple hours in the library here pretty soon.
How long have you been a Christian? And then...
I got baptized in 1982.
You've studied the Bible a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know a lot of things.
I've done a lot of study. I've got a lot of study books. I've worked for 3 ministers. I've been very fortunate to be able to learn a lot from them, especially one in particular who did his learning over in Jerusalem, in Old Testament learning. He was very, very schooled in that.
Talk about